Colonel, you talk about how we vilified Russia for decades, and I grew up in that Cold War. I grew up watching that television movie The Day After, and I would have bad dreams when I was a kid, worried about the Russians and Rocky III and all that. Are we doing the same to the Chinese? Because you talk about China in a way I don't hear anyone talking about, a very real way, being honest about their military capability, even their intentions. I was actually in Austin, Texas last week, and I bumped into a Chinese man who was a venture capitalist, and he said, Brian, I know your show, and I want you to know that what people say about China isn't true. He's like, we want to do business where people just like you, and I just wanted to come up and talk to you, and hopefully we can start a relationship. And I found it really interesting because that's not the narrative I get from all of my news. So what is really happening in China, in your opinion?
Well, the short answer to your initial question is yes, we're demonizing China, I think quite unnecessarily. But the second part, in response to what that Chinese businessman told you, is no, the Chinese are not like us at all. If you spend time in Northeast Asia, as I have, you very quickly discover that the Chinese on Taiwan, the Chinese in China, and for that matter, to a large extent, I would argue the Japanese and Koreans, although they have their own version, all admire and want to imitate Singapore. Now, if anyone's been to Singapore, Singapore is a place where I personally would be very unhappy, where I think most Americans would be unhappy. It's wonderfully clean. It's heavily policed. The government controls and owns virtually everything. And everyone scrupulously obeys the laws because everyone is there for one reason: make money. So the things that we worry about, our personal freedoms, this notion of republicanism or democracy, as people like to call it, that's foreign to the Chinese. The Chinese are not interested in that. They want to be crime-free. They want to be able to make money, improve their living standards, to live as much as possible without interference, but they're willing to tolerate a level of government influence and power that we never would. That doesn't make them bad. It's a fact of life. And if Xi is compared with anyone, I would compare him to a Chinese emperor. And the Chinese emperor had the mission that Xi has, which is you've got to feed everyone, very important for a nation of 1.4 billion. You've got to clothe everyone, protect everyone, that is, put them under shelter, and then you have to defend the country. And remember, that was China's enormous weakness over the last couple of hundred years. They couldn't defend themselves. They were overwhelmed not only by Western powers, but by the Japanese. And they had been overwhelmed previously by the Mongols. We also forget that out of the last 1,000 years, China has only been under Chinese government for about 350 of those years. In the intervening periods, they were ruled by foreigners. So that's what Xi is worried about. He wakes up every morning and says, what am I going to do to prevent dynastic change? What if something goes wrong out there and people don't get enough to eat? What if they can't find employment? 1 out of every 4 Chinese men between the ages of 18 and 30 is currently unemployed. That number is growing. The shadow banking structure was destroyed because it was corrupt. Xi has been trying to crush corruption everywhere, in the shipyards, in the military. People are being jailed and executed. That's the only way to get anybody's attention over there. Xi has a tough problem. He wakes up every morning worried about all of those things. And yeah, I think he worries about the United States Navy and Air Force doing damage to him. But you've got to step back and ask the question, if you were going to use military power against China, just exactly what would you do? You know, Michael Faber, the famous industrialist and financier, says, well, inside China, there are at least 4 or 5 versions of the United States in terms of size and population. I mean, who are we kidding? What do you expect to achieve with military power? Nothing. Are there Chinese armies preparing to march into Southeast Asia? No. Are there Chinese armies preparing to invade the Korean Peninsula? No. Are there masses of Chinese building little rubber boats to float over to Taiwan? No. And anybody who knows anything about Taiwan, what a terrible place to invade. It's 100 miles across open water, and then once you get there, most of the island is mountainous. There are only a couple of beaches you can land on. And why would they do that? They don't want to do that because the Chinese on Taiwan and the Chinese in Beijing generally share similar goals. They all want to live in the end state that I described, which is why you may well see the old party, the KMT, that was created by Chiang Kai-shek, win the next election. They're sweeping the local and regional elections right now because nobody really wants to go to war under any circumstances with China. They want to do business with China. And that government has said, we will unify with the mainland. We'll do it gradually. And that's what Xi wants. He said, well, maybe 2045. You know, here we are. Well, there's an invasion coming next week. It's all nonsense. It's just untrue. And you have to ask yourself if some of this is just to justify more wasteful spending on a whole range of things in defense that are obsolete.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I am just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
This course has been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.